Your craft question today is, how do I use hooks in explanatory writing? Your content framing question today is, what does a deeper exploration of point of view reveal in Grandfather's Journey? For review, let's remember that point of view means how one thinks or how one feels. Alrighty, before we get started with our lesson, we need to first complete our do now. So what I want you to do is I want you to get ready to go back to Google Classroom because this is your do now for today. What does home mean to you? I want you to answer this question, what does home mean to you, in 3 sentences, or at least 3 sentences. Okay? And for this do now, you will be able to see your classmates' responses and you can respond to them. However, I want you to make sure that you are using sentence starters that we've discussed in class for Socratic seminars. For example, I agree with Shamir because blank. Or, I understand what you said, but I disagree because blank. Alright, so please make sure that you use these sentence starters if you are responding to a classmate's do now. Now you can pause the video so that you can do your do now before you watch the rest of today's lesson. So how do we use hooks in explanatory writing? Well, first we need to go over what explanatory writing model we use, and that is the TEE chart, which is also known as describing your knowledge to a T. The T stands for topic statement, E for evidence, the second E for elaboration, and the last C is for concluding statement. So now let's jazz up our writing with a new fun introduction paragraph, which we are going to call HIT. The H stands for our hook, where we are going to hook the reader. The I stands for introducing your reader to the topic. And the T stands for your topic. What's the important idea and what are the supporting points? And that is your introduction paragraph for explanatory writing. Alrighty, so this is what your classwork looks like for today. And this is your first part of the assignment, handout 3B, writing planner. So this should look a little familiar for us who have been practicing our writing using our writing planners before we get to our actual essay. But today we're just going to focus on the introduction paragraph and the new structure and acronym that we just learned. So please follow along as I read the directions. Directions. Use this graphic organizer to plan a response to the following prompt. Consider everything that you have learned about Grandfather from reading Grandfather's Journey. Does Grandfather change during the story? So here you have your graphic organizer, our new acronym HIT, H-I-T, H standing for hook the reader, I, introduce your reader to the topic, and T for topic, what's the important idea and what are the supporting points. So here you need to write down your hook, you're introducing your reader, and then here you're stating your topic. Now I'm going to show you my example. Please make sure you don't copy my example. So for my hook, I chose a question, what makes a person change? By asking a question, I'm engaging the reader by making him or her think about what makes them change. When was the last time you changed your opinion about something? For my introducing my reader's sentence, I wrote, in Grandfather's Journey by Alan Say, the main character changes as he grows older. Notice how I include the title of my book as well as the author's name in my introducing statement. We've practiced this in other explanatory introduction paragraphs in Module 1 and Module 2. We always need to make sure that we include the author's name and the title of our book so that readers know what text we are talking about. Finally, for my last sentence, T, topic, what's the important idea and what are the supporting points? I wrote, at the beginning of the story, Grandfather is curious and eager to explore new places. At the end of the story, he only wants to revisit the places he already knows and loves. So, in these two statements at the end of my introduction paragraph, I'm telling the reader that grandfather changes from the beginning of the story to the end. How? He's curious and eager in the beginning to explore, but towards the end of the story, he just wants to revisit the places he already knows and loves, which are California and Japan. Notice how I have my supporting points to back up my important idea. I'm telling my reader that grandfather changed from being curious and eager to just wanting to revisit the places he loves. Alright, so now it is time for you to fill out your own writing planner right here. HIT, writing your hook, introducing your reader, as well as your topic. You need to make sure that you answer this question. Consider everything that you have learned about grandfather from reading Grandfather's Journey. Does grandfather change during the story? Okay. So now I want you to pause the video and I want you to go to your classwork page and I want you to write down your hook and think about the example that I just showed you. Okay. Now it is time for the next part of your classwork, which is going to be down here, answering two TDQs. All right, so before we get to our TDQs and before I read them out loud to you, just like I do in class, we need to review the word narrator. So what does the word narrator mean? The word narrator, like we said 2 days ago, is a person or character recounting or telling the story. So yesterday, I believe, we talked about how the narrator of Grandfather's Journey is his grandson, right? And so today, what I want us to be thinking about is who the narrator is and how we know. So now let's take a look at our TDQs for today. All right, the first question is number 1, who is the narrator of Grandfather's Journey and how do you know? So I kind of already told you the answer for that one if you were listening. But what I want you to do is I want you to write down your answer here. And I want you to tell me how you know this. You can look back in the Google Classroom for text evidence, or if you remember from the story, you can also just paraphrase here. Okay. Because I know some of us are having a hard time toggling between different windows. All right, and so number 2 reads, reread pages 30 through 32 of Grandfather's Journey. How does the information on page 31 help explain the sentence, I think I know my grandfather now, on page 32? So these pages I will have attached on this assignment so that you can go back to the original assignment to take a look at pages 30 to 32. So for these TDQs, what I want you to do is I want you to make sure that you write complete sentences for your answer. Okay? All right. So you can pause the video, or if you want to continue, you can, and you can fill out these TDQs later. All right. So the last part of your classwork today is a Venn diagram. So I know we talked about this briefly before COVID-19 hit us, and we are now stuck at home, unfortunately, but we are staying safe together. So today we wanted to talk about comparing and contrasting two characters' point of view. Therefore, in the beginning of this video, we reviewed what point of view meant, which is how one thinks or feels. And so today we're going to be comparing and contrasting two different characters in Grandfather's Journey. We're going to be looking at grandfather. Oops, I did not mean to move that. Oopsies. We're going to be looking at grandfather, and we are going to be looking at the narrator, which we know is his grandson. So this is a Venn diagram. Some of you may have seen this in the 2nd grade, but we use Venn diagrams to kind of visualize when we're comparing similarities and differences between two different things. So today we're going to be comparing grandfather and the narrator. So instead of writing in the actual Venn diagram, I have here this chart where you are going to write down your answers in the shaded boxes. Okay? Alrighty. So this circle here represents grandfather's point of view, so how grandfather thinks and feels. And this circle represents the narrator's point of view, how he thinks or feels. And where the two circles overlap, that is the area of the Venn diagram that shows their similarities. So it's how they feel and think similarly. So instead of writing in the circles, you are going to be writing in the shaded boxes, here for grandfather's point of view, here for the narrator's point of view, and then in the middle of how they are similar, how they think and feel similarly. All right. So in order to help you answer or fill out this chart of how these two characters think or feel the same or different, you can use your story elements chart. That is the classwork from lesson 2, and also the other part of that chart in lesson 3 to help you complete this chart. Also, what I want you to do is think about these 4 questions as you continue. So these 4 questions include: what does a character want in the story? What makes it hard for the character to get what he wants? How does the character succeed or not succeed in getting what he wants? And the last, how does the character feel about home and moving? All right. So I want you to ask yourself these questions from grandfather's point of view and from the narrator's point of view. How does grandfather feel about home? How does the narrator feel about home? These questions should sound familiar because they are from your story elements chart and your evidence organizers. So for your comparing and contrasting characters' point of view, you don't need to write complete sentences for your answers in these boxes. For example, I'm going to give you the first one for each. For grandfather, we know that he wants to see the world. And we know for our narrator, the grandson, he travels often between Japan and America. Now, how grandfather and the grandson, how they're similar is that they both want to be home in a place they love. They constantly both talk about how they continue to travel back and forth to different places because they want to feel at home. So here are some examples. I want you to at least include 2 more for each box. So 2 more for grandfather, that's different from the narrator's point of view, 2 in the narrator's point of view, as well as how they are both similar to one another. Okay? Alrighty. All right, so now that you're finished with your classwork, you have your exit ticket. And so I'm going to read through your exit ticket so that you know what to do. Okay? All right, so your exit ticket, it won't look like this. This is from the teacher's side, but I do want to show you this so that I can read it out loud for you, okay? All right, so your prompt for your exit ticket is, based on the text, what is the narrator's point of view about where his home is? So again, point of view, how does he or she feel or think about where his home is? We know that the narrator is a he because we know that it is the grandson that is retelling or recounting the story. All right. Please make sure to write a complete paragraph for today's exit ticket. Remember that narrator's point of view is how the narrator thinks or feels about where his home is, as I just said. Use the describe your knowledge to a T format to help you write your paragraph. And you'll see here that I included an image, a chart that we've created. Oops, just ignore that. To help you remember what TEE stands for. And you don't need an introduction paragraph. You don't need the hit part. I just want you to write a paragraph. Okay? Make sure to use 2 pieces of evidence and elaboration to answer this question. And I've attached a writing poster as I just showed you. If you can, I would really love for you to toggle back and forth through the material in your Google Classroom where it says Classwork. You'll see that the PDF was uploaded of Grandfather's Journey. If not, you can also go back to any of the old lessons where I give you a read aloud of the book, preferably maybe yesterday's lesson 3, so, where I read the book a little slower, and that way you can see exactly what pages you would like to write about. Okay, so that's for your exit ticket today. It is due tonight at midnight. Please ignore this whole section. This is for Miss Toma, not for students. Okay? Alrighty. Then after this, what you need to do is you need to take your quiz. So your quiz is actually going to be due Friday night. I'm going to give you an extra day to do it. And it's basically like the question sets we've been doing in our previous modules. So it's multiple choice. There's 3 questions. And I also included the pages of the text as images so that you can look at it as you're answering the multiple choice question. So good luck. And please do your best on the quiz, and then you are done for the week. Hey, third graders, you've made it through week 1 of ELA. Congratulations. I know it's been a lot, but I'm so proud of all of you for getting through 1 week. And so I hope that you are able to get some rest this weekend, and I hope to see you next week. Aha, almost forgot to tell you. Be on the lookout for this weekend because you will have some fluency homework.